Right, we're all in person. How shocking. I love the fact that people still sit at the very back. You can always tell the naughty ones at the back there. Right, I think we'll kick off with a little brief précis of all of our backgrounds, because all of us are involved in developments. Pre-pandemic, I think it's fair to say. So what we want to do in this session is just look at how things are going. Are they still on track? Have plans changed? So, Rob, I'll let you kick off with Chester first, because I know you've got a small video.
Perfect. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, could we start with that first video, please? Got a clicker. Okay, so I wanted to start with that short film, and really as an opener to the whole 2 days, because that's more about people. Obviously our session is on R&D, it's on development, it's on investments, which people do tend to think of being as physical buildings, and obviously that's a key part of it. But I think one thing that we've certainly recognised is how key our staff is and how key our offering is moving forward. So yeah, that was just a general overview. I've got a more specific short film around the race company. If we could play that, please. Thanks for that. As I'm sure you'll all appreciate, trying to run 3 race courses in 3 different countries through the last 18 months has brought with it its own challenges in terms of keeping on top of all the restrictions and all of the changes to different event programs. A key area for us, though, is development, and these next slides show an area that through 2021 we've launched a brand new space, which was a £1 million development. Thank you. So this is a brand new area to the head of the parade ring, a covered space. And I think a key thing here is this is a big change for us. We would have this is a GA premium space. So traditionally we would have ticketed areas and we would have more hospitality. Now those hospitality could be lounge access or boxes, but this was a space where a standard ticket for this area would be about £60. This is now a premium space at retails at about £130, but includes table service, includes drinks on arrival, includes those kind of semi-exclusive elements of the experience that people seem willing to pay for these days. So yeah, the visuals just show the brand new area. So this was actually an open space, open access, which we've now taken that space and it's got to be ticketed. The key thing here is this was a £1 million investment through COVID, but we've actually got a phase 2 of this investment. So to the right-hand side, under that covered space, will become a 2-tiered champagne bar with a viewing area above. So we're constantly looking at new developments, and we do tend to reinvest about £1 million per season into new areas. And that's not always the top end hospitality. That'll be across the board in terms of all those customer experience touch points. So this is a key development that I wanted to share with you, and this is live. So the planning for this had gone through in the summer of 2019, but as you'll see with a lot of our projects, and as you'd understand, a lot of things have been put on hold. But this is the first time this has kind of publicly gone to an event like this in terms of these illustrations and these plans. Oh, thank you. Nearly finished, but thanks. So yeah, the area on the right-hand side, that 6-tier cylindrical building looks beautiful. I wouldn't mind that being there tomorrow, but that's a brand new space. So we have got an older hospitality stand that we'll knock down to be able to build that area. So I've just got some stats on that. Those 6 levels of restaurants, there'll be 2 restaurants in there, 500 capacity each. There is 21 private boxes that will be built into there as well. Now, a really interesting thing is, obviously, this planning went through 2 years ago. Some of the discussions we had with the guys on Friday is about the use of that space and also the kind of day-to-day use of that space. There's obviously much more demand now for remote offices and for people still working from home but wanting collaborative workspaces, and that will get factored into that development as we move forward. In addition to the left-hand side, and this is they're both brand new facilities, but the left-hand side would be a race day venue, and the ground floor would be a general bar, and then there would be the next 2 tiers would be hospitality. But this would be a brand new C&E event space for the racecourse. So there's no large-scale conference and exhibition sites in Chester and the surrounding area. So that is a key area, again, trying to work that site, and that's what the guys will chat about, working the site throughout the year, not just focusing on our 15 race day fixtures. And that's me. I don't know if we want to do questions now or...
I think if we'll just go through so that everyone knows what everyone's talking about. And also, we have got questions at the end, but we can pretty much have good line of sight of everyone. So if you think of a question, do put your hand up and we'll come on to you. Rob, I just want to go through your development as well. Of course, as I mentioned, all of us have had planned developments pre-COVID, and we'll be discussing how some of those have changed or how they haven't indeed.
Yeah, thank you. So good morning, everyone. Firstly, I think it's great to see so many familiar faces. It seems like it's been an age since our industry's got together, so it's great to see everyone. So to introduce myself, my name is Rob Paddon. I'm the Venue Sales Director at Fulham Football Club. So I'm ultimately responsible for revenue generation and customer experience at Craven Cottage, which you can see in front of you. So I wanted to show everyone to see what Craven Cottage was like before our development and sort of see the challenges that we face. So when you look at that site, you can see that we're pretty much landlocked on 3 sides, and there's a river at the other end of it, which creates so many challenges that we have. So our development, which is underway, is under construction, which I'll show some images of, is planning to build over that river. So that stand you can see with the Fulham FC on it has been demolished, and we are building over the top of that. And the challenges, obviously, we face is you look at the 3 other sides, we're not going to be able to develop them given there's a park to the left, housing on the right, and then a road encompassing the Johnny Haynes stand. So great challenges with this project is our facility will be opening next summer, and I'll just walk you through sort of where we're at with the development of Fulham Pier. So this was taken probably about 4 weeks ago now, which was the construction as you see it. So many of you would have seen it on plenty of football coverage with regards to the development that's taking place. We are currently operating as a 3-sided stadium, which has been a lot of great fun when you throw in that plus COVID protocols. things changing endlessly. I'm sure many of you around the room have had that headache. So three-sided stadium, and then obviously it's a building site that's taking great pace as we speak. Obviously you can see the seating bowl there is going to be a very steep stand. Then behind the back of it is where all the sort of the hospitality premium and also the significant amount of non-match day facilities that we're going through. We spoke about the non-match day, and I think it's worth just talking about why we believe the development may be a little bit different and perhaps sort of goes against the norm. Is you'll notice me talk a lot about, when I go through these introductions and our conversations, about the non-match day piece. Well, that's our key driver. We're actually focusing this development, given we're opening the river, for 365 usage, for the local community to come in. We want to capture the local dog walker who's walking by, wants a coffee, versus the family that may want an evening meal. And also, of course, there's match day, which many of us have to work through, which has those challenges. But we're doing a big focus on that non-match day and really trying to change the model, where many of us, of course, have that match day focus and we do some non-match day. That's the construction from the other side. So you can probably see the river-facing piece is still a lot of work in progress there, which is what we're going to be opening next summer. And for those of you who've not been to Craven Cottage before, traditionally the stadium, if you were going along the river walk, you'd have to walk almost around the stadium to avoid the river, whereas we're actually opening up this piece of the river for the first time. So everybody will be able to walk up and down this boardwalk anytime that they would like. Obviously, aside from match day, we have to put some access control in. But our plan is that we want to make sure that we are capturing the local community. And obviously, naming the facility Fulham Pier probably gives you an idea of the sort of transport that we want to include of things coming down here. So just to include a couple of CGIs about our project. So as I mentioned, the boardwalk is open. The facilities are going to be absolutely incredible in there. So we've got everything from a huge basement facility, plans for a food hall on level 0 to make sure you can constantly go in there, have a great F&B experience, a host of restaurants and bars, and an incredible rooftop space as well, which is going to be sensational. And then the two other interesting bits, one that seems to create a lot of traction, is we have a leisure club that's planned for as you're looking at the facility on the right-hand side, with a rooftop pool, which everyone's getting quite excited about. Football season, August to May, will be interesting, what the rooftop pool will be like for match days. And we're also putting a boutique hotel in the other end of it. This is what we hope is going to look like. So it's obviously going to be absolutely incredible with people walking up and down there, but it's obviously the challenge is we want to make sure it's relevant to everyone. We've got something in there for the local community, the tourist market, but let's also not forget the football fan as well. That's very important. This is what it looked like from the other side. You can see the difference between the two in Craven Cottage. It's just going to be an incredible facility. And where our venue is going to differ is the stand you can see on the road. We utilised in 1890, and it still really hasn't changed much since 1890. So we're going to have that sort of two different sides to the stadium, where you've got the traditional football stand, which has wooden seats, has lots of poles in the way. Then you've also got this brand new facility on the other side, which hopefully will be modern, exciting, and relevant for not just football audiences, but audiences as a whole. And that's the final shot. I just thought I'd get the pool in there because that's what everyone seems to be very excited about. And that's it from me.
Everyone loves a rooftop pool, don't they? I've been trying to persuade Steve Lansdowne to put one on top of the sporting quarter, but I haven't won yet. Guy, obviously we've talked about the different stages that everyone's at. You guys were very vocal about your plans, and then COVID hit, and it's postponed until after the Commonwealth.
On hold, yes. So, Guy Dunstan, Managing Director of Arenas for the NEC Group. I look after the two arenas in Birmingham, Utility Arena in Birmingham City Centre and Resorts World Arena, which is on the NEC site. So, I think when I was penciled to come and speak at this conference, we were right in the midst of our plans to redevelop Resorts World Arena on the NEC site, to extend it. So essentially we were going to extend the roof, take it up by another 10 metres height, so from its current 12 metres up to 22 metres height. And to extend the capacity by 6,000 and to grow our premium offer. And then March 2020, just as we were going for planning consent, along comes COVID and the plans were put on hold. Now, one of the driving factors for us to do the redevelopment was to get it done for the Commonwealth Games. We've got the Commonwealth Games coming to Birmingham next summer in 22. So it was a great opportunity for us to get this development done and to capitalise on all of the opportunities that the Commonwealth Games would offer. Thankfully, the contracts and the deal was done on the previous arena infrastructure. But because of the tight timescales and the uncertainty with COVID and the potential financial impact, we put those plans on hold. So it was a significant impact for us in terms of the COVID impact in terms of where we're planning to be. So it's all on hold at the moment. But the drivers for that facility is that we opened it in 1980. So we've got 40 years of operating the arena under an infrastructure that had really served its purpose. But as productions get greater in the indoor arena touring market and production capabilities of venues that are 40 years old need to increase, we saw that as an opportunity not only to improve the arena offer to the premium market, but also to improve the capability and future-proof the facility for the next 40 years. We've seen a real change in trend in terms of indoor entertainment premium offers, and so we were really looking to grow that at all levels of the customer offer. And on the NEC site, we've developed over the years. We've got a visitor attraction on the site, which is Bear Grylls. We have Resorts World, which is a facility across the road from the arena, and we've got the naming rights with Resorts World, so we're a Resorts World Arena, and that includes retail. It includes food and beverage restaurants, high street brands, a conference centre, a casino, cinema, hotel. They're about to introduce a premium 10-pin bowling alley. So we saw this as a great opportunity to complement the offer that we have on the NEC site. We talked about a 365-day offer. That was really an enhancement of what we were looking to generate at Resorts World Arena. So plans are on hold. We're looking to pick those back up post Commonwealth Games. Nothing confirmed yet, but we'll be revisiting and reviewing as we move forward. But whilst that's been going on, we were fortunate at Utility Arena in the city centre. We did open a premium space over there just before lockdown, so we had a couple of months of utilising that space, and it sort of reflects what we were talking about on Friday ahead of this session, in the changing way that we're offering premium hospitality and premium experiences to our customers. So the days of having traditional private boxes for 10 to 14 people, we've really seen customers moving away from that and the offer moving away from it as well. So we opened an open plan 120-seater facility for as an open plan bar deck, and in fact within that we've got a super VIP, an elevated premium facility as well, which is the demand for it was phenomenal. Once we started opening it, we were getting inquiries, and we're selling out that facility moving forward for most of the shows that we're on sale with. So yeah, we got that in just in time. Resorts World Arena extension, which I thought, maybe when we were talking that some time ago, I'll be sitting here with lots of visuals. I haven't got any visuals and no giveaway models to give you, but I have a dream and a vision that is in my head, so hopefully share it with you at a future ALSD.
Thanks very much, Guy. As we said, Andrew was obviously going to be here talking about the YTL Arena, but obviously Bristol is on the map with ours. I've just got a very brief one to just show as an image of what we're doing, because we're all talking about... Do you want me to click it on, or shall you? Just literally on slide 5. It's interesting when we're all talking about these developments. It's gone from just... everyone has talked about making their venue a 365 venue, and I think that was very much pre-pandemic. I think if you just, in fact, if you just pass me the clicker, I'll just click through. In terms of what we are building, basically anyone that's familiar with Ashton Gate Stadium, we did a redevelopment 2014 to 2016. It was around a £50 million redevelopment. I feel your pain about doing one stand. We did 3. We didn't have COVID though, so it was hell. And we are building a sporting quarter right next door to Ashton Gate. For all of you that know, Bristol Sport is a group of sports. So we've got basketball, rugby and football. And this is a chance to bring our basketball team to the stadium right next door to where football and rugby is played. But it's a mixed-use site. We will have hotel, residential, commercial space and mixed retail as well. And community, as ever, is a key theme. We've sat in the community for over 100 years. And I think probably I am not alone in this room. I'm sure all of us that are operating venues have seen our spaces used in such a diverse and different way over the last 18 months. Never did I think that our South Stand Concourse would become a super vaccination hub. We were the first one opened in January by Boris Johnson. And I have to say, when we were planning out all different types of uses for our stadium, a mass vaccination centre was not one of them. That's the aerial of the view, as I was saying, and a multi-storey car park alongside. It's interesting the effect that COVID has had on travel plans as well. I think it's perhaps something that we will all be reconsidering as well, about how we juggle the environmental, sustainable side of getting people in and out of our venues, yet the pandemic has firmly put a lot of people back in their cars, and how we facilitate that safely. And then that's the indoor space, which is what it will look like. Of course, all of us operate venues. A lot of us that operate venues constantly struggle with the dynamic of match days, but that's only 20 to 30 days within a year. There's still a lot of number of days to make that venue work, and it's how we use that flexible space. First question then to the panel is, we're coming out of it, hurrah. What has been your insight over the for Rob, first 3 games of the season? What's it been like? Because a lot of us are seeing a real spike in demand. I think almost like people have short memories. Everyone's back. If you're overseas, everyone was still wearing masks in France, where I was recently, yet coming back, I'm increasingly seeing people without masks. What's been your experience, and do you think that is going to change how you use the space that you've planned?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I hasten to sort of I don't like using the word back to normal here, because invariably it still doesn't feel quite right. But we've had 3 home match days. We've been very close to, if not sold out, for those fixtures, obviously in a 3-sided stadium. We are seeing people come back. Obviously, I think a lot of us here as well would considerations for the overseas travel market. Perhaps hasn't had the volume there, but we are actually seeing, I'd say, a new audience come out, which of those that quite frankly have been locked up for 18 months and quite fancy coming out and doing some live events. So I would say that, are we seeing audiences come to the football? Yes. Are they in the numbers we expect? I'd probably say yes, but there is a different audiences coming in. Obviously, many of us are hoping for the overseas travel market to reopen again, particularly given our location to London. But from an experience perspective, obviously, I think all of us have to sort of make sure we're conveying and we are a safe venue. I think a lot of people are very mindful now coming to our stadium, so we are seeing a mixed blend of some wearing masks, some not. It's allowed us, we still put COVID protocols in place where we can to make sure people are safe. And to give you an idea of the headache of COVID protocols, some of our stadium, well, it still is, was built in 1890, which had no provision for COVID, toilets, hospitality, or for any of that matter. So, we have some really big challenges, but so far we're seeing people come back through.
And Rob, I know that you mentioned you've had 3 ladies' race days, and they've been sellouts, but again, similarly, you're seeing this more sort of premium side rather than the going for the mass numbers.
Yeah, definitely. The 3 ladies' days was actually me visiting 3 ladies' days in 3 days, so 3 different courses. But that was really interesting to see York for the E-Ball, Musselburgh, that's a much smaller course, and then we had 22,000 back a couple of weeks ago, which is normal numbers. In terms of the crowd, yeah, they're just mad for it. They're just desperate to get out and to, and as Rob said, have that experience. Certainly when we were on restricted numbers, there was more sensitivity around people wearing masks and people concerned for space. There wasn't any at that last fixture, and long may that continue. I think, echo Rob's point in terms of normal, whether it's new normal or old normal, normal doesn't exist. I think what we've tried to look at a positive through this, we've all gone through cycles and cycles of change, and that's going to be ongoing, I think, and there's massive benefits of how we've dealt with that, and understanding those customers. We know that half of our visitors on that 22,000 day were brand new, hadn't been to the course before, a much, much younger demographic by about 10 years. And as an industry, and probably as a sector, they're people we've been desperate to engage with for such a long time that they've actually come along, they've had a great time, and hopefully will come back and tell their friends. So there is positives there as well. Yeah,
I mean, you referenced there, it's a constant struggle for those in, ticketing and loyalty. It's always how do you drive that younger audience getting through and into your brand. And I do wonder if there is a certain sense of that so many people have been locked up, that actually this is a golden opportunity to entice youngsters into and buy them in as a loyalty effectively to your venue for the rest of the time. Guy, I know last weekend, I think it was, you had a boxing event. I mean, slightly easier in a racecourse because you've got a lot of outdoor space, but I mean, a boxing venue, what was your experience?
Yeah, so boxing is always a challenging event in normal times. So to do our first event with an audience in last week. Presented challenges, but it went as well as it would have done in actually pre-COVID times. But the key thing is very much about focusing on that customer journey, putting the customer first, and reassurance of customers is at the heart of the way that we're thinking and planning and communicating with our customers. We've got a lot of business that is rescheduled in the indoor arena market. So actually it's rescheduled 2 or 3 times. So there will be shows that we'll be playing that we actually sold the ticket for 2.5 years before the actual show performs. And so, the reassuring thing is that actually we've seen a minimal number of customers who've asked for their money back or for cancelling their tickets. So that's a positive for us. But we've got to really focus on how we make sure that we maximise that the customer experience. They're coming in to premium facilities. We need to ensure that they are getting that premium experience. And I think that is a real opportunity because we are bringing them into private spaces where we can give that extra level of reassurance, the personalised aspect of the customer journey as well. And also, as you pointed out, different audiences in I'm just looking ahead at this month in the Birmingham Arena market. We've got Genesis, we've got Jerry Cinnamon, we've got McFly. 3 very different audience profiles, and boxing last week as well. So, we have to really think very carefully about the differing customer needs, the very differing customer perceptions, the ways that they communicate, and also take that information as well, and then apply that to ensuring that when they're coming in, they feel safe and secure, and that they are very clear that we are going to look after them as much as possible. But that diversified sort of audience or sort of event profile does give us big opportunities as well, and that's how we've had to diversify our offer to introduce entry-level premium hospitality and the highest level of premium hospitality as well, which has been a big growth for us because many years ago it was very much a traditional 3 or 4 course lunch or dinner and then straight into the show, or as I said earlier, the private hospitality box. So it's something we're considering, but customer is very much at the heart of our thinking.
And I think that's probably a change in the demand for those offers, isn't it? I know certainly for us, traditional corporate, as in B2B business, has declined, but personal wealth and private individuals is a huge growth area. So I think the whole dynamics of our hospitality customer base has probably changed as well.
Absolutely. I mean, this is where there are real opportunities. Customers are now looking for an elevated experience. They're not. There are so many not looking just for that. Come through the turnstile, sit and watch the show. We're in an age where social media and sharing the experience as well. That look at me, I'm in something special that my friends and peers aren't necessarily in as well. So we've seen that and that's why we've had to introduce lower price points and much more sort of focus on entry level hospitality. And there is still a market for the premium. And actually, just sort of going back to your question as well, we've not seen the impact we feared when COVID first hit us in terms of would people still want to buy tickets, would they still want to buy packages. There is still that, the amount of times I've been asked for Elton John, have you got any Elton John packages? We're sold out. So, but there are so many people still looking for that premium hospitality experience, despite what we've gone through over the last 18 months.
Yes, I feel your pain on that. There was a lot of emails when the Elton John concert series got announced, especially at Ashton Gate. There was a few people going, "Oh, can we go?" It is interesting talking about the various different stages that we're all at with our developments and design. Certainly, two of the things that we've seen is one is designing the space and redesigning the space into that luxury boutique experience that is actually relaxed. So for the first time ever, we've got our directors box and board members in various different of our sports actually saying, I don't want to come back in a suit. I actually want to have a relaxed environment for not just the director's box, but all of the boxes and our premium hospitality areas. And I'm sure, looking at some of the imagery that you've got of the riverside there, it does factor for that actually a very different match day experience to what we've traditionally seen.
Yeah, very much so. And I think, to give you an idea of our spaces, all of them are going to overlook the river. They're not going to overlook the football stadium. It's a very different feel that we're going with. And the analogy I often use is so many times we've tried to bring a restaurant into a football stadium. We're doing the complete opposite. We've got to try and bring football into a restaurant that's going to be fully functioning all the time. So, yeah, we are seeing that difference and much more relaxed. And I think people want different options. But then when people want different options, now it's going to come the challenge that people probably don't want 19 or 23 or however many events we have a year. They don't want 19 of the same match day. They want 19 different match days if they're joining us. So, yeah, a lot of different changes. We are talking personally from our venue, we were known to be a very traditional hospitality venue, white tablecloth, free 4-course meal, very standard hospitality, whereas, we've tried to move our inventory away from that. So when I spoke previously, it was about Seasons Wine Lounge, and we had a football gin bar, which many of you, I'm sure, enjoyed when you came around for a tour. Again, nothing to do with football, very, very different, very, very informal. And I think, this is where the new stand is going to have to cater for, yes, the traditional football experience, but, we're going to have to try and engineer hospitality experiences into places which may be challenging. But that's what we're going to have to do, given the challenges that we have.
I think that dress code one is a really interesting one, especially with hospitality. Obviously, racing is quite traditional in terms of formal attire, but I know that our student staff, front of house staff, have numerous debates with guys. It tends to be that have spent £1,000 upwards on a pair of trainers. They can't afford any socks to go with the trainers, but they've got the trainers. And how can you have that? That's a tricky debate to have. So I think, in general, kind of that move to more informality, but still, certainly for racing, it's very heritage in terms of those dress codes and those levels. So it's an interesting debate.
Especially with the Riverside view, I can speak from experience of our hospitality lounge that doesn't have views over the pitch. It's great when Pat Lamb says, I want a behind closed door training session, so that even if the restaurant is being used, they can't get access to the pitch. It's very useful. In terms of timing, Katie, I think we can have some questions. We've got plenty we can still talk about. I want to touch on safety and security as well, sustainability. Has anyone got any questions that they want to come in with? Otherwise, we'll continue our chat for a few more minutes. As I look into everyone. Oh, yes, gentleman there. Actually, I'm sure it's small enough. Go on. I bet you. I'll repeat your question if for the far end. So just to repeat that question for those guys at the end that couldn't hear. So what has been the response from corporate clients to the removal of some of the corporate boxes and the take-up of the alternative offerings?
Well, I can say it's been 100% positive feedback. We're not actually on sale yet. So actually, we're in a really, really good position there. So far, no problems. But in a serious point to this, we are, as many of you will see the plans, we don't have many private spaces planned for the new facility, because the main reason behind our facility is we're driving non-match day revenue is what we're looking for. And we're not just looking for B2B, your classic meetings and event space. We're actually looking for the local families, local community to get involved, the tourist market as well. And we've looked at a whole variety of different offerings to put in this facility. As you can see, we've already gone pretty diverse, from hotel to leisure club to some traditional restaurants as well. And I think that we've tried to optimise the space as best we can, but also cater for a variety of audiences. And we felt that looking at the boxes, I think many of us around the room who represent Stadia are seeing a decline in boxes. We think that they do have a heavy drive towards meetings and events. So we maybe have more private spaces rather than the traditional boxes where we're going. If people still want meetings of 10, 20 people, we can facilitate that. But we're going to go definitely more open, we really are playing to that non-match day piece. Whereas if I'm going to go out for dinner with my family on a Friday night, I'm not going to go and sit in a corporate box. I want to sit in a nice restaurant overlooking the river. So that's what we're trying to play to. And obviously, I think it was a great question as well. You sort of intimated how it's going to be received. It's, we believe we're putting packages together which are going to be very, very different to what a traditional normal football hospitality package is going to be, but for all the right reasons, because we have to have that split between match day and non-match day.
And certainly the non-match day stuff. I mean, I think quite a few of us that run work in Stadia with corporate boxes, actually during COVID, they've almost come into their own, because they are flexible spaces. You can open them up into double boxes for those of us that can. Half of ours were being used by Nuffield Health for triaging sort of assessment of operations and things, which, again, never thought those spaces would be being used for, but it's about having all of those different offerings, isn't it, on the table?
Very much, and I think for us, the main word of all of this for us is that flexibility piece, that we're not completely ruling out private spaces. For us, it's just a case of having that flexibility in place to be able to facilitate that. Obviously, we haven't been used as a vaccination centre, so we haven't maybe seen that demand as well during that time.
I think it probably comes down to the offer as well, though, doesn't it? Because you can have the same space, but a completely different F&B offer that can create a completely different experience.
Yeah, as I say, in our arenas, we've been looking at exactly the same thing, and as I said, we're moving away from the boxes. We're actually looking at another phase of that at this moment in time, but it also enables you to sell more flexibly as well. So, whereas in a box, 10, 14 people, you're restricted in terms of how many people you get into those boxes. By having open plan spaces, open plan seating decks, it enables you to sell 2s, 3s, 5s, 10s, and to maximise your occupancy within those facilities, and to then flex your offer according to that.
So that's exactly what we're trying to achieve, and I think obviously with Fulham, if people obviously know their recent history, obviously Premiership and Championship, you have different demands. If you're just talking about football side here, they're fundamentally different animals when you come to sell them. I always think in my head about, yes, it's great when we've got Liverpool at home, it is going to be great, but what about those winter Tuesday nights where maybe, I don't want to offend anyone, have a least attractive opposition in place? I didn't want to say it, but so again, it's that flexibility in place that we're going to try and line different offerings up to make sure it fits that broad spectrum of audience that we're aiming for.
Yeah. I would hate to have Tummy starting to grumble in this room, and Katie giving me the eye of timing. Perhaps one last question. Has anyone got a last question? Hey, Charlene. So just about scenario planning. Our head of safety and security said on Friday night, he said, I've done more scenario plans in the last 16 months than I've done in 16 years as a lead safety officer.
Yeah, I definitely second that. I think we were on plan Z.13 by the time we finally got on. And obviously that was changing all the time as well. Certainly in terms of restrictions and trying to respond, like we were saying about boxes. We had boxes that normally you'd have 16 in, that at one point we could have 3 people in. It was insane. So you're then trying to flex completely. So I think, very, very tactical, but also we did use the time to try to be more strategic. So we put a new ticketing system in place. We did try to learn from... There was a point in time when we were just chasing our tails, and I think we stepped away from that, and we did try and learn through that process, and hopefully it will help us moving forward. But yeah, very, very challenging when you want to move forward and be planning further ahead when everything's moving.